So just let me know if the sound is good. A little bit earlier when I was testing things, there was a bit of an echo. So if there is an echo, just let me know. And good evening. I'm Labron Allen. I'm a naturopath here in Victoria, Texas. I've been practicing nutrition, naturopathy, homeopathy, and herbalism for 13 years now. And in that time, I have seen a little over 2,000 different patients. And basically, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to find the individuals who are willing to put in the hard work and the effort in order to get to the best health that they possibly can. And it's those kinds of individuals that I know that I can help. I have full confidence that I can help. So that's what we're going to be talking about this evening. Now, it's interesting that most of my clients feel, as I do, that the medical industry, unfortunately, has gotten to the point that it is pretty much only looking out for the interests of the shareholders, primarily of the pharmaceutical companies. And so much of what is done now is motivated by those interests rather than as much benefit to the patient as possible. And so that is one of the reasons why so many people are now looking to alternatives to conventional medicine. And the problem with that is, on one side it's good and another side it's not so good, is because the natural health industry, the natural health profession, is not immune to the same issues. And so now you have all kinds of hype within that industry as well. You have all kinds of ridiculous claims. Constantly, it seems like you're having a new kind of superfood, a new kind of super supplement come up into the marketplace and say that, hey, this is the cure-all, this is going to take care of everything, and of course, it doesn't. It seems practically every week I have a client come in and tell me about something new that they've heard or something new that they've tried, and have I heard of that? Usually I haven't, because that's not the type of thing that I keep up with. I keep up with the kind of research and information that is done that really shows true therapeutic result to the body using nutraceuticals and functional nutrition. So I first became interested and aware in alternative and holistic health over 20 years ago now, almost 22 years ago. And it was when a family member had severe, what ended up being manic depression. At the time, we had no idea what it was. And 22 years ago, that's actually when the Prozac craze was all in. And sure enough, that's what this particular person was prescribed when they went to the medical doctor. Well, the problem with that is that it did help to some degree, because on one hand, they had been near suicidal, and now they weren't happy about life, but they also did not have the lows as well. So it kept them at a monotone as far as how life was affecting them or how they felt about or their perspective in life. So the idea for this person that they would have to go throughout life, theoretically until the end of their life, feeling in this way, neither good, neither bad, but not having the true joy and the true happiness that life can bring and that the experiences of life can create. Or for that matter, even the sorrow. Sometimes feelings of discouragement, frustration, even depression is an appropriate feeling or appropriate emotion for certain periods of time. So they didn't have that, and they just found it totally unacceptable that they would have to live the rest of their life on this medication that created that particular effect. So we went searching for something else. And eventually, we found a holistic doctor, and they prescribed this family member homeopathics. And it was the first time that I'd ever heard of it. It was the first time that I'd ever seen it. And here there were these little glass vials, and they're full of teeny tiny little white pellets. And this person was supposed to put these pellets underneath their tongue, keep them there for a minute or two, and swallow them. And somehow this pellet was going to create miraculous changes within their body. Well, the amazing thing is that after several weeks, sure enough, there was improvement. Not only improvement that that person who's experiencing this particular illness was saying, but that I noticed as well. This was not fake. This was not just something that they thought would work, that this family member thought would work, and so now, therefore, it is. It was not a placebo effect, because things that they did not even realize were changing. And it was more obvious to me than it was to them. So that really got me to thinking, why, when there are so many individuals, millions of individuals out there who truly need help, and they are not doing well on the conventional kinds of therapy, the conventional kinds of medications, why didn't physicians tell these individuals about different options? I just couldn't understand it at the time. So first, I was totally skeptical that there was even an alternative to medicine. And now I'm to the point, this pendulum has swung to the point that now I'm questioning, why didn't physicians commonly tell individuals of these other options when conventional medication did not suffice? So that's what led me to my journey of becoming a natural health professional and a naturopath myself. Went to college, got a master's degree in nutrition, and after 7 years of schooling and training, worked with several different doctors in naturopathy, I eventually opened my practice. And today, it's called the Natural Health Clinic, and as I said previously, I've been in practice for 13 years. Now, in those 13 years, I've seen some pretty incredible things. I have witnessed babies being born to couples that were told after several procedures of fertility treatments that they would never have a child. And then after we worked together for some time, many times this was not overnight. I had one instance which was nearly overnight. It was after about 2.5 months of working together. This woman was able to become pregnant, quite to both her surprise and my surprise. And that was a very, very happy result. Usually it took longer than that. The average is about a year, sometimes a year and a half, depending on what different situations are going on. I've had many cases in which I have helped people with pain, oftentimes debilitating pain. And one case, a woman had been in a very severe car accident, as a rollover car accident, and she had had parts of her spine literally crushed, and she was in pain management medications from that point on. She had been in treatment, I believe it was for 3 or 4 years by the time she saw me, and she was pretty much to the point that she was going to have to quit her job or be fired. She was a postal carrier. She was a rural postal carrier, so she was having to drive with one hand because she didn't have actually a postal vehicle, and it was just really affecting her tremendously as far as pain. Well, I saw her in about 6 to 8 months. She was to the point that she was able to begin work, and she is still working as a postal carrier, as a rural carrier to this day. I have helped many individuals with different forms of autoimmune diseases. Hashimoto's is a very common one. Rheumatoid arthritis is very common, and many autoimmune gastrointestinal disorders. Irritable bowel, although you don't hear that as much now. Colitis, Crohn's, etc. Crohn's seems to be even more common nowadays. Again, if you're having any kinds of issues with my audio, just let me know in the chat box, and I will try to adjust as much as possible. So, the things that I tell you this evening, the strategy that I give you, and all the different points that I cover, I really don't want you to take my word for it. What I'm going to do is just give you the information, and then it's going to be up to you to prove what I tell you to yourself. What I have found, and this is a very high percentage, but I have found that upwards to 90% of the individuals who truly follow every single step that I recommend to them, who don't yim and haw about it, who don't straddle the fence about it, but go full-fledged into it, always improve. There is a handful who do not improve even though they do exactly what I have recommended to them. There is a handful. And it is those handful that always leads me to continue to research and to work and to find out what is interfering with their body's natural capability of healing. So before we get further into the event this evening, if you would make sure that your phones are turned off, that there's not a lot of disturbances around you. Have a pen, have a paper ready if you haven't done that already. And that way you can be undisturbed with the information that I'm going to give you. So there's 3 steps to improved health. Isn't it always 3 steps? Why is that? Well, probably because it's simple. So this is always a fantastic quote to me in my strategic health plan, and I'll be talking about what that is a little bit later, but yes, I have one too. This is one of the quotes that I put in there because I find it quite encouraging, quite motivating, and that is from Herophilus. When health is absent, wisdom cannot reveal itself, art cannot manifest, strength cannot fight, wealth becomes useless, and intelligence cannot be implied. And so it really is true that health ends up being everything. No matter what we have, no matter what we have accomplished, no matter how much of a deeply satisfying life we have created through our relationships, through our careers, through the successes, through travel, the things we've seen, the things that we have created. If we do not have health, or we have lost our health, or we lose our health, all of those things no longer matter, and we are no longer capable of enjoying a deeply satisfying life. So I've already told you a little bit about who I am and how I began my journey into the holistic arena. But here's the thing, why listen to anything I tell you? Here you can see it's actually being covered up. Let me get out of here so you can see it. Okay, there we go. So over here, you see one of my patients, and her name is Karen McClung right here. And she's a very interesting lady. She has been dealing with, well, let me put it this way. About 20 years ago, she was diagnosed with colon cancer. And like most individuals who are diagnosed with colon cancer, she underwent conventional treatment. So she got about 15 feet of her colon removed, and everything was pretty good. And then not long after that, she began experiencing issues with her breast, especially her left breast. Excuse me, let me drink a bit of water here. And so she went back to MD Anderson in Houston, and unfortunately she was diagnosed with breast cancer in the left breast. And because of what she had experienced with the colon cancer, she said, you know what, if I go through this treatment for breast cancer, I feel like that I most likely will not survive. And an interesting side note is that the majority of individuals who actually die from cancer, and you can actually do your research and find this out, actually die from the chemotherapy. And chemotherapy overall in the Journal of Oncology shows that only about 2.3% of individuals actually are helped ever from chemotherapy. So that's just an interesting side note for you to know. But moving back to Karen, she opted not to have any of the conventional treatment for breast cancer. And so she started working with 2 different holistic practitioners in the Houston area at that time. Now she lives in San Antonio. But she started working with two holistic practitioners. I was not one of them. And she was getting some help. She removed certain things, a couple of items in her diet, and she is feeling a little bit better. But she still was having a lot of trouble with her health overall and with the tumor specific. So about 3 years ago, she came to me and we started working together. And she has done very well, to the point that her husband is also now one of my clients. So let me give you a background on that. First of all, it's never easy for men to become clients. For whatever reason, they're not incredibly interested in health, and they are incredibly skeptical about holistic health in particular. I know I was, so I completely understand it. But the background on her husband is that he actually was an attorney for MD Anderson in Houston. He worked for MD Anderson. So when she first made the decision not to seek conventional treatment after being diagnosed with breast cancer in the very facility which he was employed, suffice to say that he was not happy and he was quite worried about her decision. But with a lot of respect to him, he chose to support his wife in her decision. She's still alive 14 years later. She's doing very well. She's feeling very well. And she found that not only is she physically feeling better, but she is actually also being able to handle stress better. She's able to handle different situations within her family, her extended family better. And so with holistic healthcare, that's the wonderful thing about it. Yes, you do get help for the symptoms that you're experiencing specific, but also the body heals as a whole. It heals globally as well. So that's the experience of Karen McClung. But that's not, let me get back. That's not all. So this is her husband right here. Keep losing my place. I apologize. All right, let's go down here. Here we go. So this is Guy McClung. He is actually a patent attorney, so he helps with inventors and different individuals actually patent different products. And this over here, let me make it a little bit smaller. So this lady, her name is Sheila Crutchfield, and she lives in Killeen, Texas. Now, she was actually referred to me from some other patients who live in the Corpus Christi area, and they had told her 2.5 years previous to her coming to see me. 2.5 years previous. And so it took her that long to decide, okay, what I'm doing is just not working. And if I don't do something different, my options are either I'm going to have to get my knees replaced because she's having severe debilitating pain in her knees, basically osteoarthritis. And that was her choice. She was either going to have to get knee replacements or find some kind of alternative treatment that actually worked. Now, the problem for her was that she and her husband are hunting guides, so it requires that they're mobile and that she in particular is mobile all the time, or that she at least stands for long periods of time. And so it was really an issue, not only for her health and pain, obviously, but also is beginning to financially impact them as a couple and as a business. So long story short, she came in to see me, and now after about 6 months again, maybe into 10 months, she is virtually pain-free and is not considering getting any kind of knee replacements, at least at this time. Now, of course, it is possible that in the future, as her body does age, that she may get to the point where she has to have one. But for now, she is truly pain-free. She is also having severe pain in her left thigh, and it was interesting what we found. We found that it was actually some metal toxicity that was creating the impact within her nerves running into that area that was generating that pain. So once we removed that, she started feeling quite a bit better. Now, all of these specific experiences of my patients, they are found in the website, which is myhealth.wholefoodcure, whole, WHOLE, foodcure.com. And you can find the experiences of all of these individuals. So the point again is that you don't have to believe what I'm saying. And as I said earlier, I don't want you to believe what I'm saying. I want you to prove it for yourself, as all of these individuals have. So, what is the no BS strategy to better health? So, we have 3 things. Remember, there's 3 steps to improve our health. And the first step is that we have to start. And that actually applies to several different things. One, we have to start the journey. We have to decide to begin. But more so, in the no BS strategy, what we're looking at is starting the body's ability to heal. So here's what I mean. Think about this for a moment. It is my firm belief, and I think it's, since you're on this event this evening, it's also your firm belief that the body has an innate ability to heal. We don't have to direct it. We don't have to tell it what to do. It knows how to heal on its own. We cut ourselves, it eventually heals. We can have damage to up to words of 75% of our liver. Our liver knows how to regenerate. It's an amazing thing. We break a bone, bones know how to regenerate. In fact, in the cardiovascular system, it's been found that arteries can start rerouting blood flow. It's truly a miraculous thing. And they're also finding that the same thing may be occurring in brains as well. So suffice to say, the body has its own ability to know how and what to heal, and in what order, and in what priority. So we must start the body's innate healing system. That is the first step. The second is that we need to change the environment of the body, because there was something that was doing a couple of things at least. It was, one, there was something that was inhibiting the organs from functioning completely properly. And two, there was something that was inhibiting the body's ability to heal that particular situation. So the second step is we must change the body's internal environment. And then thirdly, we must stop doing the activities which actually cause these particular situations in the first place. And so often, certainly with all of the examples that I've shown you so far this evening, to the person, these clients have found the specific things that they had been doing that was actually contributing towards their ill health, their dis-ease. So once these things had been identified, well, it would only be a crazy person not to stop them, right? Well, hopefully that's true. But there's so many people that even though once they know what is creating different problems for them, they just keep on refusing, unfortunately, and they keep having at least the same problems, if not eventually more and more problems. So you have to be willing to stop the very activities that are creating this dysfunctions and the inability for the body to heal. So that is, in summation, what the no BS strategy to better health is. So if you're like most of my clients, when a person comes into my office and presents themselves to my care, they have found themselves in an endless spiral of bad health. They've tried different things. They may have had minor improvements, but overall, they just keep having worse and worse health. You may have one or more health conditions that have become chronic. Every one of the patients that I've seen and shown to you so far, that's exactly what happened. By the way, you remember Karen McClung, the client with the breast cancer, and her husband, Guy McClung? What his main issue was is that he had had migraines literally every day for the last 30 years. Frankly, I cannot even imagine, how do people put up with those kinds of things? It's really quite amazing, and it's sad to me that they don't know of any other options, so that they literally have to deal with this kind of thing for 30 years. So once you have been dealing with the situation for so long, obviously it is a chronic situation. And unfortunately, it takes a little bit more effort, both from yourself and from your body, in order to recover as much as possible from those particular things. But oftentimes, it still can be done. And so, like most of you, I'm sure that you have first tried conventional medications, and you found that, as I said at the very beginning of this list, basically that's an endless spiral as well. You take one medication, it may solve the initial symptom that you came in for, but guess what? Now you have a new symptom. So now you have to take another medication for that symptom. And now that symptom's gone, but you have another symptom. So now you take another medication for that symptom. And then now you have 3 medications in your body, and the synergistic effect of all of those different kinds of chemicals, well, guess what? Now you have 10 different side effects rather than just one caused by each of the medications. So you found that one medication causes another problem, and it's basically endless. It truly is a spiral. It's like a gerbil on a pharmaceutical wheel. And so it's definitely come up lacking. Or what about this one? It's been said so much, it's, I would call it nearly brainwashing. It's a knee-jerk reaction of most people themselves, not even their physicians now. Oh, you're 40 years old, and so when you get out of a chair, that stiffness you feel, well, you're just getting older, you're over the hill, you're not 25 anymore. I mean, that is ridiculous. We hear about, oh, well, the average age now is 78.8. Okay, why, if when you're 40 years old, you should now expect stiffness, because that's just a part of old age, for the next 40 years? That's quality of life? That's a reason to live for 78.8 years? I mean, that's ridiculous. And that is not part of aging. You're not aging at 40 years old to that extent. What that is the beginning of degenerative conditions of disease and chronic situations within the body. That's what that is. Now, you may also have tried many supplements, diets, perhaps like some of these clients that I've shown you, you've also gone to different holistic practitioners, but still, even though you've been helped in different areas, you're looking for more results. You're looking for more improvements than you've been able to find up to this point. And oftentimes what happens is, if you haven't been to holistic practitioners, then oftentimes you will get magazines or catalogs or in the mail, or you'll see the newest thing on Facebook now. That seems to be an endless supply of different kinds of health products coming online. Or you'll go to Whole Foods, you'll go to the supplement nutritional section, herbal section of Whole Foods, and ask the salesperson there, hey, I have XYZ, what do you have for that? And they'll tell you what they have for XYZ. You take that, you might get some help, you might not. But you're not getting to the root cause is the situation. And back in there, in the edges of in the corners of your mind, you know that you're not getting to it. And unfortunately, you may find that as time keeps dragging on and no real major changes to these different situations, well, guess what? Now it's impacting all different kinds of areas in your life. It's impacting your ability to do the things that you enjoy. It's impacting your ability to easily travel. It's impacting your finances and just your personal life overall, because you're not feeling well. It's not so easy to get along with others when you're not feeling well. And the problem, as with the spiral, these things just keep getting worse and worse as time goes on. And so at this point, you're like, okay, well, what do I do? I've tried this, I've tried that, I've gone to that diet and this supplement, and my friend told me this, and I went there and I did this spa thing and that different kind of holistic therapy, and I'm still coming up short. So you're a little bit disillusioned, you're a little bit confused where to go, and that's where most of my clients have found themselves. You're just like, if you found yourself in that situation, you're like Kimberly. Kimberly's been with me for quite a while now, several years, and just consider her particular situation. She had lost 75 pounds before she had even come to see me. And obviously, she thought she was doing okay with her diet. She thought she was doing okay with her nutrition. She had lost 75 freaking pounds, for goodness sakes. I mean, that's a lot of weight. It's very good. The problem was, though, the only situation for her was that she still felt terrible. She felt like crap. And when she went to the medical doctors, even though she had lost 75 pounds, and what did they tell you with medicine? That's right. They tell you, oh, you need to lose weight. You're just too fat. You got problems. And that's why your cholesterol is high. That's why you have diabetes. That's why you have high blood pressure, because you just need to lose weight. This poor woman had lost weight. She had lost 75 pounds. And yet, she still had high cholesterol. She had diabetes. She had high blood pressure. And she had now been diagnosed with Hashimoto's and rheumatoid arthritis. That's quite a list of health problems. This poor woman. Hashimoto's, for those of you who don't know, that is actually a thyroid autoimmune disease. So she had been diagnosed with 2 autoimmune diseases, Hashimoto's and rheumatoid arthritis, not to mention diabetes and all the rest. And again, she had lost weight, 75 pounds. Okay? So it wasn't the weight that was creating this situation. She was on medications for all of these symptoms, but she was still unable to find any relief. Excuse me, let me give me another drink of water. Talking too much already. And so that's how she presented herself. That's how she came in to see me. And in her own words, again, you can go to myhealth.wholefoodcure.com and you can read what she has to say. But in her own words, basically, what she learned more than anything else from me has been that what you eat is so much more important than how much you eat. And that's all we ever hear from conventional sources, from television, newspapers, even from many health experts. Well, it's all about portion control. It's also about exercise. That's what you need to do in order to be healthy. No, I guarantee it is not. It is definitely what you eat. And so remember, that is actually going to be within one of those 3 steps that we talked about. We'll get into specifics in just a minute. So now she feels a lot better, considerably better. Now with Hashimoto's, there's still things that we have to deal with on an ongoing manner. Unfortunately, once the body does express an autoimmune disease of any kind, it is a matter at that point of managing the symptoms and managing further destruction to the body. It is not a point of ever making it go away. Unfortunately, it's not going to go away. How can you, in a natural way, using diet, using different kinds of supplementation or homeopathics, how can you get the body to stop fighting against itself? See, that's a normal response, a normal reaction to something that is happening within the body. And specifically, certain T helper cells. A Th17 is the aggressive cell that destroys different kinds of tissue. And it is turned on, it is switched on, and at that point, it's just a matter of managing it. But yet, she does feel a lot better. But the thing is that even though her case is so common in what I see among so many different individuals today, that she was able to break that health spiral. So, whoop, that is not the one. So that is the 3 different steps to the no BS strategy to better health. So now let's go more specifically. All right. But first of all, let me ask you a question. And if you would, just write it in the chat box. How many of you have ever experienced a supplement? We'll just take a little 30-second poll. How many of you have ever experienced a supplement that did well in the beginning, but then it just seemed to stop working? Now, if you have ever experienced that, that actually is right there. That's an indicator that you really need to apply one of those 3 steps in the no BS strategy to better health. That is a definite sign that something is being missed. So just go ahead, if you would, type into the chat box if you have ever experienced that. Okay. So step 1. So now we're going to go into detail about this 3 steps to the strategy to better health. And step 1, as I mentioned earlier, is to start the body's healing process. So how do you do that? Well, it's actually pretty simple. And what you do is you identify a genetically viable way of eating for your specific body, for your specific genetic type. So if you did like I suggested, you have already downloaded the DNA genetic blueprint diet. And basically, that is a starting point. It's a point where about 60 to 65% of individuals start feeling better by implementing the different steps within that diet. So it's just one beginning point. It is not the end all. It is not the fix all of everything. It's just a starting point. But that is more heavily on animal protein, that particular diet that I have you downloaded. And so there are some genetic types that do not do well with animal protein. So if you followed that diet, you could actually gain weight. You could actually feel worse in the different symptoms you're having. And so that's why, as I said earlier, you have to find out and identify, genetically speaking, what kind of way your specific body type needs to be fed. So number 2, you have to change. So that body has to change in its environment. Those organs have to change in their function. If they're dysfunctional, then they have to change to functional. So how do you do that? Well, you do that by first identifying what organ or organs, what gland or glands, and what system or systems are actually dysfunctional. Otherwise, how can you ever get started? So each organ has a specific dietary and nutrient requirement. And so if you have no idea what areas of the body are actually creating a problem, how can you ever affect a change? So you must identify what areas of the body are dysfunctional. And then you have to identify what is causing that dysfunction. So in plain words, as I said earlier, the body has an innate ability to heal. It heals without us telling it what to do. So therefore, if you have a diseased situation, a diseased condition in which you continue to have that year after year, decade after decade, there is something inhibiting the body's ability to heal. Do you realize that every 5 to 7 years, every cell in your body is totally new? Every cell is totally new. Basically, the body remakes itself every 5 to 7 years as far as its tissue. So if you are continuing to have the same problem, if you're continuing to have the acid reflux, if you're continuing to have the joint pain and the stiffness, there's a reason. There's something inhibiting, blocking, stopping the body's ability to heal itself. That must be identified. It must be changed. It must be removed. And these pictures here, I will tell you, these are the 5 things that I have actually found to be the most common interferences to the body's natural healing ability. So down over here on the lower right, let me go ahead and get out of the large screen here because my video is blocking it. So down here in the lower right, we have a guy spraying fields. Oh my goodness, how many chemicals do we come into contact with every single day? I mean, there's just no way to completely get from all of the chemicals that is in use. We can certainly do as much as we can. We can get rid of chemical-laden, at least synthetically laden toiletry products. That's one of the most common. Underarm deodorants, antiperspirants, hairsprays, cosmetics, hair dyes, all kinds of different things. Not to mention all the food and the drink and even the water itself that contains so many different forms of chemicals. And then over here on the lower right, very common issue is heavy metal toxicity. Mercury being one of them, but there are many others. There is cadmium, very common. There is chromium, extremely common. And believe it or not, what I find very common as well is titanium. Titanium, where's that come from? There's all kinds of titanium products in medical industry. Titanium nuts and screws and plates and rods, and yes, it does create issues. Of course, also dental amalgams create all kinds of issues as far as metal toxicity, and of course, dentistry also creates issues with chemicals as well. Over here on the upper left, we have infections. Viruses is what this picture is showing, and of course, it's obvious that infections of all kinds can definitely inhibit the body's ability to heal. And so viruses are only one form. There's many different kinds of forms of infections, and so many times we don't really think about it. There's fungus. There's obviously bacteria, and one of the biggest ones that goes undiagnosed, especially in this country, are parasites. Parasites are very common. They are in everyone. They are in animals. They are in food. They are in humans. They are in bodies of water. In the United States, they are everywhere. They are most likely in you, and they are the most undiagnosed form of infection in this country. And then over here on the upper right, we have junk food. Well, junk food, it contains pretty much everything that we've just went over. Maybe not the infections, but it sometimes can that as well, can't it? Think about the Blue Bell ice cream that was taken off the store shelves because of the different kinds of bacteria in that particular product. But certainly, it's going to contain chemicals. It's going to contain heavy metals. For example, most of what's being shown here will contain high fructose corn syrup. And high fructose corn syrup has been shown many, many times to have very high levels of both lead and mercury, toxic levels. So this is what your kids are eating. This is what your grandchildren are eating. This is what you're eating. This is what your parents are eating. This is what your spouse is eating. Don't. You must change what you do. You must stop the activities. That's the third step that create the continuous effects within your body's environment. And then finally, right here in the upper center, we have stress. How many times a day do you feel like that? Hopefully not many, but for most, it is very true that that is how they feel. And all of us at one time or another is likely to feel that way. So that's how you need to change to identify those different categories of things. And then finally, this brings us to the third step. Stop. You need to stop all the activities that promote the disease. So those 5 pictures that I showed you, that really shows you some of the activities that need to be stopped. Start looking for all the chemicals that you're coming into contact with. Eliminate them. Look at all the junk kinds of foods that are being consumed. Eliminate them. Look for the different sources of what may be stressing you. Usually, when I say stress, it is worry. Stress is actually a good thing. Stress can be motivating. You know, for example, it doesn't matter how many times I do presentations. It doesn't matter if they're online. It doesn't matter if it's in a group of many people. I always feel stress. But stress is motivating. It's basically your body telling you, hey, you need to do a good job on this. You need to take care of this situation. So what most people mean by stress is worry. And worry is that you're constantly thinking about something that has been done, something that needs to be done, or what decision needs to be made. Okay, that's worry. And there are definitely many techniques that can help you eliminate that particular kind of thought process and pattern. So stress is really okay. It's not going to affect the body badly. It is the worry and the effects, the detrimental effects and the hormone cascade effects that worry causes, that is a real problem. And one of the things that will help you succeed in step number 3 to stop is to create what I have called a strategic action or a strategic health action plan. And that's literally a written blueprint. It has your belief, your health beliefs. It has your health vision. It has your health strategy, and it has your health purpose. So it gives you, why do you believe, or what do you believe about your health, about what can be accomplished about your health? What is your vision? What would you like to see your health be 10 years, 20 years, and even up to the point of your death? What would you like to see your health be like up to that point? And then it gives you specific steps. Okay, this is what I believe. This is what I want. This is my strategy to get there. This is what I'm going to do. And of course, as you read it, as you go through it, as you consider it, you update it, you change it, you fine-tune it. But it's something that's always in front of you. It is a plan that you have and that you stick to. And then in order to stop these different kinds of things, depending on what it is, you really have to have some kind of accountability plan, an accountability partner, and you have to have support. Support is so important, and unfortunately, both accountability and support is what is lacking in many people's ability to become well. So another poll, and again, if you would, go ahead and write down in here what would be helpful, okay? As far as the chat, just write in the chat box, how many of you have tried to fix yourself and experienced some symptoms have improved, but not everything has resolved? So how many of you have tried to fix yourself and experienced some symptoms improved, but not everything resolved? So what do you do when it is not working on your own? Well, meet Candace Whitcall over here on the right-hand side. That's what Candace experienced. She worked on her own for over 2 years, and in her own words, she said that some things improved, some things actually got worse. Excuse me. But she certainly did not get the headway that she was looking for. And after following the recommendations from her very first visit with me, she had pelvic inflammation, and her pelvic inflammation nearly disappeared with the very first visit. Now, she has ovarian cysts that are totally gone, and she has lost 50 pounds and 38 inches. Can you believe that? And so all of the clients that I have shown to you up to this point, showing you the pictures of, all of these have improved by following my Total Health Restoration Program. So what is my Total Health Restoration Program? It is a 6-month one-on-one, so we're working one-on-one together program. And it does several different things. One, it identifies your dietary genetic needs. And remember, that's step 1 of the no BS strategy to better health. And so through a very precise and scientific method, it identifies what organs, glands, and systems are dysfunctional, which is in step 2. And also through that same method, we identify what is interfering with the body's function. And that's the step 2 as well. And so together we build a customized blueprint specifically for you to help you improve your health. And that blueprint has built-in accountability and support. I will also give you the tools to help you create your strategic health action plan, which is your personal connect-the-dot formula to reach your health goals. That's how all of these individuals have improved. But you have to realize that this is a very personalized and it's a very hardcore program, and it is certainly not suitable for everyone. Everyone is not suitable to be a client of mine. In fact, I have to say that most individuals, unfortunately, are not. Look at America as a whole in the state of healthcare. So many people, they don't want to improve their health. They're quite happy with what they're doing, and they'll just wait for the government to take care of their healthcare needs. They don't want to change. So most people are not my client. I have worked with over 2,000 clients, and I have identified specifically the patterns of the ones who will fail and the patterns of ones who will absolutely succeed. And the ones who succeed do the 3 steps that I have been speaking about this evening. Now, my reputation is built upon success, so I want to ensure that who I work with actually does succeed in their health goals. I require all my prospective clients to go through an application process so that I can identify if you are actually my dream client, if you're my ideal client, and you're the type of person that I can help through a total health restoration program. And so once you fill out that application, it'll take you between 5 and 10 minutes. It's fairly short. Then what will happen is I'll review that application, and if I approve the application, I feel like I can help you, you will be scheduled for an initial consultation. And through a complete medical history and workup, along with several different kinds of testing, I will be able to identify if you truly are someone that I can work with or not. And then what will happen after that initial consultation, if you are one of my ideal or my dream clients, in the report of findings, I will thoroughly go over your current health symptoms, what are the likely causes to those issues, the different phases of healing. There's 3 phases of healing that you should expect to experience, and then the results from the testing that we did in the initial consultation. And then, after all of that, only at that point can you start a total health restoration program. Now, my total health restoration program, it is backed up by a guarantee. I call it the Action Takers Guarantee. So at the 6 weeks mark of beginning the program, if you don't feel that you have improved at least 50 points in a symptom survey, which is one of the tests that we do, and you also feel that the trend of your health is improving, then all you have to do is give me all of your homework that we've done together, and that will include completed food journals or food diary, the grocery receipts from the beginning of your program that you started, all of the supplement bottles that you have taken, a copy of your completed strategic health action plan, and you undergo a fasting glucose level. It has to be under 95, less than 95. And then you will be given a full and complete refund for all of the office visits up to that point, including your initial consultation. And I guarantee that you will never find another holistic practitioner who will give you a guarantee. And yes, I am that confident that my total health restoration program will work at improving the health of my ideal clients. So how much it costs? Well, obviously you have to do an initial consultation. That is a $250 consultation fee. But if you fill out the application form, you can see that red button underneath this webinar panel here. If you click on that red button, you'll go to an application form. If you fill that out within the next 24 hours, it is timestamped, so I know if it's in the next 24 hours, then what will happen is your initial consultation will only be $110. It's typically $250. So you're saving more than 50% just by acting as quickly as possible. Plus, I will give you a $20 Visa, what I call a gas gift card. So it's a Visa gift card, $20 gift card, and it's so that you can come here basically totally free as far as your gas. I'll pay for you to drive here. And by the way, notice that the clients that I showed you, all these clients, they don't live in Victoria. Some of them live in Killeen, hours away from here, or San Antonio, that's 2 hours away from here. So 4-hour round trip. And they've been coming for years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and they just continue to improve in their health. The report of findings visit, I'm going to give that to you free if you act within this next 24 hours. It's usually an $80 visit, and I will give that to you free. So altogether, that's a total of $350, and you get all of it for $110 if you act within the next 24 hours. Again, just click on that big red button that's right below the screen right down here that you see. Just click on that big red button, and it will take you to the application form. So are you my dream client? Well, if that is you, then I will work with you one-on-one to design a total health restoration program that improves your specific health concerns, and I know that that will easily double your health in the next 12 months. And so if you want to work for me, just apply by clicking that big red button. Okay, so now it's time for Q&As. Let's see, I'm watching some of them come in here. Okay, so one of the questions I am being asked are, what type of supplements do you recommend with your program? Well, that could actually go into a whole nother webinar as far as specific supplements. I use only supplements for professional health practitioners. And one of the main things, one of the main philosophies that I work from is that we should actually get our nutrients and our minerals, our macro minerals, trace minerals, and all the other factors that our body needs from our food. The problem is, as you probably well know, it isn't in our food. It just isn't there. So my philosophy for a supplement, though, doesn't change. I think that we should get whole food supplements. And so the supplements that I will recommend to you for the most part are just that. They are concentrated whole food supplements that have been around. This particular company has been around since 1929. Obviously, it's a very old company. Obviously, they're very successful. And they are an organic company. And they only sell to health practitioners because they have specific nutritional support per organ function or glandular function or system function. So it is very, very specific to a person's health concerns. Let's see. So another question I have is that I mentioned how much the initial consultation is. That in this case, if you act within the next 24 hours and fill out the application form, that it is $110. But the question is about, what about the Total Health Restoration Program? Is that $110, or, explain more about that? So what it is I mentioned it's a 6-month program. It is 24 office visits in all, okay? And there is a package that you can purchase, and at the time of the report of findings, we actually talk about that. If you actually are one of my dream clients that I feel like I can truly help you, then I will give you the suggestions specifically to your case and the costs involved at that time. But usually it is a 6-month program with 24 office visits in all. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions coming in, so I really enjoyed speaking with you this evening. I hope this information was helpful to you, and that is the end of the program today. So, if you have registered for this webinar, you will be receiving some emails from me. You'll be receiving a replay link. And as time goes on, I may periodically send you some information that you will find helpful in those 3 steps that we talked about this evening. So good luck and best of health to you.